Hello and welcome to the Producer's Guide to Scalar version 2, which is some amazing software that helps you easily create melodic parts in your music. So bass lines, chord sequences, lead lines, arpeggiated parts, and so on. The software can be used in a number of different ways. Firstly, it's actually an instrument itself, so you can play it directly and use one of its numerous presets, which have been massively expanded in version 2. So some great sounds that you can use in your tracks just within the instrument itself. Or you can use it as more of a MIDI tool. So you can use it to generate notes, whether it's single melodies or chord lines and so on, and use those notes to play other instruments, either in real time with a keyboard or using the player within the software, or by generating the patterns within the software and then dragging them out onto the instrument tracks in your project. So throughout the course, I start off with 2 overview modules, which start right from the very beginning and go through all of the main areas of the software slowly and in quite a lot of detail. And although in the first one, we're not doing anything too complicated, just working with one single chord, so the root triad, a D minor chord when we're in D minor. I show you how you can use it in quite a simple way to generate pretty awesome sounding orchestral textures in your tracks. So that's the first overview module, and then there's a second overview module where I start again from scratch and kind of go through a few different ways of working with it. Using presets instead of choosing the scale yourself. And in that one, we create a kind of very classic sounding chord sequence that you might hear in the breakdown of a track. So after those 2 overview modules, you should have a pretty good understanding of the main areas of the software and how they work and how you can use them in different ways. And then we move on to a series of workflow modules, which are designed to show you what I think are kind of popular ways of using Scalar, or ways that you might want to use it. For instance, say you've got some drums and a bass groove already, and you want to create a chords hook to go with it. That's one of them. And the other 2 start off with audio samples instead, because this is one of the other features that's new in Scalar version 2, as well as being able to detect MIDI, which you could do in version 1 by playing notes on a keyboard or finding a chord and then getting Scalar to tell you what it is. With version 2, you can actually drag in audio, or you can either play in audio or just literally drag a sample in, and it detects that sample and again just tells you what the chord or chords are. So in the first module, I use a single chord sample, and we create some parts off the back of that. And in the second one, it's a longer phrase with several different chords in, which is normally quite a difficult thing to work with in a track, because you might know what the overall key is, but it's hard to know what the different chords within it are doing. So that's one of the great features. Just drag in that chords progression, tells you what the chords are, and then you can create bass lines and even recreate the chord sequence with other instruments, or expand it out to other chords in the same key, and so on. So yeah, that's the last workflow. And then the final one is kind of a lengthier one where I create all of the different musical parts in a synthwave track. So we go through the bass line, the main pad sound, so the main chords, and then also a lead line or arpeggiated lead line. And as well as having the main groove, which is already pretty cool with a lot of nice harmonies in, we create a second section in a related key, and then also the bridge sections to go from each one of those sections to the next. So yeah, getting quite advanced by the end there, because we're looking at modulation, moving to different keys. But hopefully you'll find the flow of the course works well, and is at a nice pace, so you get to know the software pretty gradually as you work through it. So without further ado, let's move on to the next module, where we'll start our first Scalar overview. So I'll see you then.